Good morning, afternoon, evening or night, whenever you're watching this, welcome. The river is quite high. Yesterday it was much higher, and tomorrow it's likely to be higher once again. But today the sun is shining, I'm wearing waders, and I'm going to try to find anything old and interesting that may have spilled out of this cliff face. Where I'm standing is an old municipal dump site, and the river seems to be insatiable. It keeps biting chunks out of it. Oh, and I'm filming in early January. It's been a fairly solid block of bad weather for the last 9 days. Rain, sleet and snow. And that water swelling the river is going to be cold. To be entirely honest, the conditions are far from ideal. Most of the spots where things do gather, sorted by swirling waters and dropped for me to find, are still deep underwater. And I may well be a bit wobbly today because I was recently ill, but I've already found some things. A lead toy soldier on a horse, missing some bits of course, but quite a nice find regardless, and some cobalt blue glass that I'm taking to smash further and put through my rock tumbler. I'll take any such likely looking glass pieces today. I think that was probably the level of the water yesterday, which means there's roughly a 1 metre vertical band of land that's been washed, within which lies most of what I'm expecting to find. And the way is blocked by sticky deep waterlogged clay. I wouldn't advise anyone try this without knowing the river well and wearing the right gear. Yep, already one leg stuck. Oof, that would have been one boot gone. My foot came out and the clay held on, but thankfully I'm wearing waders. Wow, unexpected. I think this was a doll's teacup in green glass that's been melted a little, but still recognisable. Not sure if Fleur and Kate of the Miniature World of Kit and Caboodlers would like this for one of their dolls' houses, but if so, they can have it. First, bottle stopper of the day. It's a vulcanite one. Kind of grotty, got a rusty clump of dumpsite sticking to it, making it currently unreadable, and I don't want to take every one of these anymore. I'll put the bottle stopper in a prominent place for the next mudlarker who makes it down here, this being a heavily visited spot. In spite of the fact that almost every bottle here suffers from rampant glass sickness, the variety and concentration of finds makes up for it. Interesting little pot, it's unusual, kind of shaped like a flagon rather than a plant pot. It wasn't hiding the remains of a handle. So even though it's glazed inside and shaped like a flagon, I'm not at all sure if it was a drinking vessel or a vase, or something else entirely. I do like it though, I'll take it. It can hold the other finds for now, and quickly rinse hand because it was holding lead. Little amber bottle. Ooh, it's got the raised ridges of a poison bottle. Probably medication though, and its screw top, generally considered to be less desirable by bottle collectors, but I don't count myself as such and I like it. I'll take it. There will have been an underwater swirl up against this log, cleaning out beneath, but also dropping some heavier things. If this was a gold-bearing river, it might be worth panning for material there, but it's not, so eyes only is fine. First pipe bowl of the day. It's a plain one, but I've got a friend who does craft things with these, so I'll take it for her. A cute little bottle, nicely clean, and I do like the shape. I'll take it. Base from a face cream pot, intact, but I have no use for it. Green poison bottle piece, not to be taken. Probably too thin to survive a full 4 cycles of a rock tumbler, but I'll still take it and maybe put some pieces of it in for the last 2. Ink bottle, one I have too many of already. And some plastic, black bin liner material and a bead of polystyrene, both blights of the waterways. And that there looks like it might be a poison bottle. Oh, yes, it's intact. Doesn't say poison or not to be taken, but the ridges and the colour and the shape say it all loud and clear. Where is the sun? Ah, it's behind me, with a dump site in the way. Oh well. I see a fairly large cobalt blue bottle. Shifting soil very loose, but I can reach it. Well, it's of course got glass sickness and it's otherwise plain, but I'm going to take it because I hope to one day build a bigger rock tumbler and a barrel that can hold something this size, and maybe, just maybe, polish it back up to looking like new or scuff it down to look like sea glass. Figurine feet poking out. Okay, it's a dog. King Charles Spaniel maybe? I'm not that well up on dog breed identification. Don't really like the glaze on it, so I'll leave it for the next mudlark to take or leave as they see fit. Looks like there are some bits and pieces that I'd like a closer look at on the slope beyond that crescent of swirling water over clay. Of course, way up here on this side first. Plastic, not sure what it was though. Perhaps the leg of a brachiosaurus or similar large dinosaur, no other ideas. Other than that, it's plastic and it's better out of the river system than left to wash down to and break down in the sea. If you see anything interesting, then please do shout out. I can't hear you, but I do like the idea that you might be shouting at the screen, trying to get me to spot what you've spotted. Not that I'm expecting there to be much to spot up here, undisturbed by the river, no recent collapses, well picked over by many mudlarks, myself included. The leg of a doll, too broken, I'm sorry to say. And this bottle, a lovely emerald green, might be plain, might be screw top, isn't a poison bottle, but is still appealing. Shiny clean, we'll have to edit that out if it's given a clear reflection of me, and for anyone who still wonders why that is, I did make a Q&A video in which I answered many questions, including the why of that. And now I shall ask a question. Isn't it just a beautiful day? I think so. Some copper wire, and a bit more. Wow, I've only ever seen bits and pieces of these. Clockwork wind-up old train. Sorry, hillside collapsing beneath me does not make for steady camera work. It's probably beyond repair, but there's certainly bits of it that might be in good enough condition and useful to a toy restorer. I do know one, runs a toy museum, so I think I'll take it for him. I haven't forgotten about the lead toy ambulance I found that I want to try restoring myself. This is usually a pretty good metal patch, wherein I usually find lead, of course, and copper and brass things, coins, buttons, nails, toys, and odd fragments. Sadly though, looks like most of the patch is still underwater. This is only the top edge of it. Oh well, I guess I'll have to come back again in a week or so when tomorrow's forecast heavy rains have been and gone, and the river level has fallen again and fallen some more. Nope, nothing of note. I spoke too soon, there's a little bit of interest a bit further up. First, a little bit of chain, surprisingly clean condition. I think it's steel, but I also think it's a fob watch chain, and they're often silver. We'll check it at home. And a button, mother of pearl. Nice condition, and I'm always pleased to find them. Some lead shielded wire poking out, I'll remove it. A two-handed job. So first the wheel, which I think is the right size to match the lead toy ambulance I've just mentioned, so now I just need to find another one. The water has cleared a bit, I guess I disturbed it, so now I can see more of the things. Mostly just lead, which I take no pleasure in taking, but this river carries tannins, making it slightly acidic, which means it can and does slowly dissolve lead. Just looking to see how much of a day I've got left. Not much. It's about 2 PM and it is the 7th of January, less than 3 weeks after the winter solstice. It'll start getting dark within an hour. I'd best get moving, but very slowly, very carefully. Do not want to misjudge this and end up floating into the main channel. Some people would think this was nothing, and some would say it's foolhardy. I am, after all, wading into deep sticky clay with strange backward swirls of current beneath an overhang of an unstable cliff that absolutely will collapse someday. I just don't think the conditions are right for it to be today. Now please, anyone watching this who knows this place or is larking in conditions with similar dangers, please don't just walk into things like this because I did and made it look like it was nothing much on the video. I am actually being very careful. I inspect each part of the overhang, avoid touching it, and I'm reassessing the risks with every step. This white line is upsetting for me. It's polystyrene beads left at yesterday's high water mark. Probably only one block of polystyrene, fragmented, but it's spreading and will break down further into microplastics, and there's really not much I can do about it. Some lead, a concertina of shielded wire. And these, I could of course spend hours here pulling them out of the environment one by one, but I don't have much daylight left today, so instead I'll grab the bigger pieces I can see. Every little litter pick helps. A little flash of red, a bead, or a berry. It's just occurred to me that there's not really much difference to what I'm doing and a trip to the supermarket, wandering around, picking stuff up, picking and choosing and taking my choices home. The price of a shop is money. The price of mudlarking here is having to lug it all out of here, and soak, scrub and scrub some more to clean it all up. So would a video of me doing a food shop be appealing? I am of course mostly joking, but it'd be so much easier. I think this might be brass. It's got the weight even though it looks strange. I'll take it and see. And that, solid glass. Maybe a partial piece of a glass brick. Not fully sure, and not sure if I can possibly make use of it somehow, and I'm not sure if I'll take it, but into the pile it goes for now. This, nope, not interesting, so onwards. Not the first exclamation of bead today, but the first that I think is actually definitely a bead and not a berry, and brown and plain though it be, I'm still quite happy to find it. Some lead shielded wire, into the pile, and the bead. I see another bead, they're coming thick and fast now, clear, faceted one. It's strange how pleasing it is to find such things, especially as I would find a necklace made of beads like this really not to my taste, but as I find in an old dump site, beads and buttons and marbles are all to my taste. Copper square nail. Didn't find my first one for many years of searching, and now I find them everywhere. some brass tubing, possibly a small piece of Victorian gas piping, but I'll never know for sure. Not seeing anything else of interest in this spot. About 2 meters along the shoreline, some things hide quite well in the mess of fragments of things. This one isn't even trying to hide, a lead alloy toy figure of someone carrying a basket. Kinda looks like a military sort of a uniform though, maybe an airman or airwoman. Kind of soft facial features under the rust. I wonder, could it possibly be a model of Amelia Earhart? The results of a cleaning are inconclusive. If you have any other ideas for who or what role you think this model represents, then please do say. I can see a marble. There it is, swirly green and blue. It's a pretty one. They don't make them like this anymore. I do think I'd quite like to try it sometime. One step at a time though, bead making first, and then maybe I'll try for making a marble. And yes, I do know that the sun is not in the portion of the sky that I can see. It's just an automatic thing. Find a pretty glass thing, hold it up, hoping to see light pouring through it. This kinda looks like a spoil pile, so someone was up here scraping at the cliff face. And yes, I have thought of doing that myself. It would be very easy, but it could theoretically be considered to be criminal damage to council-owned land. And anyway, I'm content with a variety of things I find on the surface and underwater. A bit of a ritual now, coming to visit this poor young oak tree, and I'm always a bit surprised to see it still hanging on, though the river hasn't really hit this part of the cliff face for several years. And another ritual, filming from this spot the overhead power lines, seeing just how far the river has cut. Another 5 years maybe till the opposite riverbank is under the power lines. I can see 3 finds. The most obvious one is of course the horse. Looks like a racehorse, its mane streaming out in the wind. There's maybe a hint of a jockey, no longer attached. And another find is a nice blue glass faceted bead, well done if you spotted it too. And the third find, I doubt the camera really gave you a chance to spot it, is this brass thing. I think it was a surround for either a mirror or a cameo or glass. Maybe it was part of a locket that held a lock of hair. There's quite a few options for a decorative piece like this, and I'll probably never know which one it was. I think it's about time now for me to start heading back. Back to the start point up the hill, along the fisherman's track to a field, across the field to a beach that may well still be underwater. Of course, along the way back I still look. The river has dropped about 6 inches in the time I've been here, so there's more things being revealed. A little emerald green face cream pot, and over here part of a toy car, lead alloy, and looks to me like part of a drag racer, and a bead of polystyrene. Neither should really be in the river, so into the bag they go. And next, the wade. The river has dropped, but I still think the safest route is through this little bay. I can at least, though, go a bit further out, away from the overhang. It's going to be chest deep, and that makes filming not impossible, just very difficult, so see you on the other side. I've just found this, a little brass disc that looks very much like a pet collar tag, but was probably not that. Certainly a tag of some sort, and there may well be the remains of writing beneath the verdigris. I shall clean it as carefully as I can and see. Oh, as soon as I pick up the bag I spot something else, some more verdigris poking out. It's maybe a lock cover. That hole does have hints of escutcheon about it. I'll take it. And onwards again, with hopefully not too many more finds, or I'll not have enough light left for a wander on the beach. Oh, all right, some thick copper wire. Onwards again? Or no. I see a cute little bottle. It really is a tiny thing, and it still has a bit of a label around it, silvered paper, so a bit of resilience to it. Letters remain on it. Can't quite make them out, but I think I might be able to read it at home under better light. Ah, the obligatory milk glass Pond's cream pot. I was wondering when one of these would show up, and out of the corner of my eye I registered something over here. It's a spoon. It's a bit decorative, vintage and corroded teaspoon. I always like finding these, even though they are pretty much useless. I passed this way already. I'm surprised I didn't spot this. A Victorian gas pipe around for a lamp. Again, pretty much useless as it is, but this at least I don't mind the idea of melting it down into something else, unlike the spoon. Plenty of room left. I'll fill the gaps with fines and plastic. I reached for something and this thorn vine came out of nowhere and got me good. Or I was careless and didn't see it. It's here the thing, a flash of cobalt blue that excavated reveals itself to be a marble, blue and white, and quite a nice one. I'll restrain myself from trying to find some sunlight to hold it up to. Dropped it. I see it. And just like that, it's nice and clean and revealed to be very pretty indeed. One last look. It's not been the most fruitful visit to this cliff face site, but I'm still glad I made the effort. I've certainly been feeling the remnants of illness. I was pretty feverish and weakened over New Year's, and wasn't sure I was ready to be out today, but I've enjoyed it. One last little bit of lead removed. The beach over there that used to catch so very many small fragments of glass and pottery and lots of small things is still very much underwater, so maybe the big beach too is all underwater. Still going to go and check. Well, most of it is underwater. When it's not, it stretches beyond that clump of trees about 20 meters out there. For anyone new to this channel, the beach here used to be perhaps even more productive for finds than the cliff face. The river in full spate dropped vast quantities of old and interesting things here. It really was a crazy good spot for this little mudlark. I could and did make entire videos out of quite brief visits here. In just 1 hour I could sometimes fill 2 big bags with pretty good finds. But nothing is permanent. The river is constantly changing course and no longer drops much here. I am not very sad about that for me. I still really enjoy coming here. It's a beautiful spot to end a lark, and I view it as a wind down from the intensity of the cliff face. But for every other mudlarker who visits, hoping for an experience like I had, it's a pale shadow of what I was once blessed with. Today I'm blessed with health enough to see this sky, which looks likely to be host to a pretty good sunset soon. Although maybe not. The old rhyme predicts red sky at night, shepherd's delight, and the forecast for tomorrow is a big storm bringing a ton of snow. Just one humble find of a bit of blue and white pottery. Actually, no, 2 pieces. Yeah, no, I want to wade out there, but it would not be sensible, so just this little spit of land, and for once I can remove every bit of plastic from the portion of the beach that I can get to. A minor triumph, but a triumph nonetheless. There is wisdom in old rhymes. It doesn't look as though there's going to be much, if any, red in the sky at this afternoon's sunset. Still, it's January. It's supposed to be bleak, and it's not. It's glorious. There's even a bit of a glow in the grass. A roundup time. That outing was my first one this year, and I was making the effort despite still being a bit wobbly and sometimes out of breath, so that I could be the first mudlarker back at that site after pretty high water, which usually means lots of things to find. There weren't all that many things, probably because the water was still far too high to find them. I did go back there about 10 days later, after a huge storm had been over. The river had risen considerably higher than even just before this outing. The river had then dropped to a fair bit lower than this outing, and I was late back to the party, nowhere near the first back after the waters receded. I'd been frustrated waiting, trapped by snow down the little lane where I live, waiting for it to be ploughed, and it wasn't. I had to wait for it to melt, and so I went, not expecting to find even as much as this video's visit, yet that time I found gold and silver and lots of good things. Goes to show I don't know everything, and being back on site first after floodwaters isn't necessarily a guarantee of finding all of the best finds. The video from that visit, the second outing of this year, I leapfrogged it and put it out months ago. This one has been sitting patiently in the stack, waiting its turn. The fact that I'm putting out videos shot this year does not mean that I'm catching up. I've still got more than 10 that I shot before this one. I mix up the order to try to not have very similar videos in a row. Anyway, for all that the finds weren't as grand as I'd been expecting, I had a much grander time there than expected. That's not to say the finds weren't good. I think they were, just not as numerous or as interesting as they sometimes are there. So, a few bits of nice coloured glass that I brought home to go into my rock tumbler, and instead they waited in a box, largely forgotten until I started editing this video, and they've missed the boat a bit. I've already started filming the wide array of different glass tumbling video. It's jostling for tumbler time with the long drawn out filming of a verdigris coated metal piece tumbling video. Hopefully both of them will be out next year. Some blue and white. I've purchased some snips to snip and shape such pottery pieces, and I'm hoping to start on building a blue and white tiled multi-depth bird bath in the spring. The old marbles I found that day are lovely. I haven't decided yet if I dare put them through the rock tumbler to polish them up. I'm testing the idea with some fully broken marble pieces first. Kate, Fleur, of the Miniature World of Kit and Caboodlers, if you'd like this semi-melted doll's teacup for one of your doll's house projects, I'll save it for you. If not, no worries, I like it, and it can perhaps go into a cabinet of curiosities if I actually build one, like I hope. This chain that I thought was probably steel turned out to be silver, just more tarnished than I've ever seen before. I found a silver fob-watch chain in the river on the next visit too. That one was in a chunky style and this one is more delicate. I hope I don't start expecting to find silver or gold every time I go there. I'd very much be disappointed. I wasn't disappointed with the bottles this time. Usually their glass sickness runs rampant over most of the bottles, but I found a few nicely clean bottles, and one big blue one with all over glass sickness. Again, for the rock tumbler. Well, for one I don't have yet, that I'd like to build. The copper and brass finds are always welcome. The lead toys too, I still very much enjoy finding them. Even if I don't display them myself or do anything much with them, they're still a lot more fun to pull out of the mud and the water than lead-shielded wire or pipe. That's the finds. I do hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, and if you'd like to, then any expression of appreciation is most welcome. So a big thank you in advance to anyone who presses the like button, the subscribe button and the bell icon, writes a comment, replies to somebody else's comment, shares a link to my videos on another platform. It all helps. And another big thank you to all of the kind people who donate through Ko-fi, super chats during premieres, super thanks on video pages, and purchases from my Amazon wish lists. I am very grateful. I hope that you're looking after yourself and loved ones as best you can. Thank you all very much for watching, and for now, goodbye.